What's up, guys? My name is Cole, and I'm the leader of student ministries for our Grove City campus. I'm so glad you're all here tonight as we continue on with week 2 of our sermon series, UnReligious. So last week, we talked about how knowing you're a child of God and placing your identity in Him makes a huge difference. But today, I want to talk about what that really looks like by checking out a story found in Luke 15. It's the story of the prodigal son, and it's a short story, but there's really a lot of weight to it. So let's break it down and look at the center of it. It says in Luke 15 that Jesus was hanging out with sinners and tax collectors, which made the religious people really upset. So Jesus turns to them and he tells them a story about 2 sons. One of the sons asked for the inheritance before his dad died, which in the Middle Eastern first century culture, it's basically saying, "Dad, you're dead to me." So the son gets his inheritance, and it says he goes far off to a distant land, and he basically squanders everything that he has. He wastes it all. But even though he squandered everything and life is getting really hard, he doesn't come home immediately. Instead, he says, "I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna do this on my own." So he begins working for a farmer and taking care of his pigs. Life gets so rough and he becomes so hungry that he even considers eating the pigs' food. Things finally get so bad that in verse 17, he says, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will rise and I will go to my father and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.'" Once he's put together his homecoming speech, he begins the journey back home. But we read in verse 20 that while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. He felt compassion and he ran and embraced him. The son begins giving his speech just like he practiced. "Father, I have sinned against heaven before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father interrupts him and says to his servants, "Bring quickly the best robe, put it on him and put a ring on his hand, shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let us eat and celebrate, for my son was dead and now he is alive. He was lost and now he is found." Jesus shared this story so we would have an example of just how explosive God's love and grace really are. And when you dig into the story, you read that the father sees his son when he was still a long way off, which means he was looking for him. This is so important because it helps us understand that God is not distant from us, with his back turned to us, just not caring if we ever come home. No. Instead, God is on the porch of heaven, looking for us every second of every day, asking, "Where is my son? Where is my daughter? When will they come home?" God pursues us. The father in the story runs to his son and embraces him. He didn't care that his son had just come straight from the farm after spending time with pigs, which was a big deal because Jewish Hebrew men believed that being around pigs made you ceremonially unclean. According to custom, his dad was not even supposed to touch him because touching his son would have made him unclean. But the dad basically says, "I couldn't care less." He sees him, he embraces him. He doesn't care that his son was filthy, dirty, and ceremonially unclean. He doesn't ask him to take a shower, put on some nice clothes, and then come back. Does he make him sweep the floor and work the fields like an employee? No. He runs to him and embraces him. He calls him his son, and he celebrates his homecoming. What an amazing example of God's love and grace for us. We've all sinned. We've all wasted and squandered what God has given us at some point in our lives. We've all let pride keep us from God. We've all tried to fix our problems on our own instead of going to God for help. But when we put pride aside and we go to God, we realize that He's been waiting for us the whole time, searching, calling, and waiting to embrace us. God doesn't need us to clean up before we go to Him. He says, "Come as you are and let my love and grace make you clean." God doesn't make us His employee. He makes us part of His family. God is on the porch of heaven waiting for His sons and His daughters to come home. He's waiting for you. So as we transition into small groups, I hope you guys have an awesome conversation on this topic. I'm going to turn it over to your leader. You guys have a great night.